Hello, I'm Josie Grace, and on this episode of In the Spotlight, we take a look at...
Arch Oboler's Lights Out, Everybody.
Well, before we get to Arch, let's take a look at Willis Cooper, who first brought the show to air on January 3rd of 1934. At the time, it was devoted to horror and the supernatural, and by the time Cooper left the series in 1936, there were over 600 fan clubs. A bit more about Willis Cooper before we move on to the other showrunner. Lights Out was supposed to be a serial, but the idea was abandoned, making way for the anthology series we know today. When it first aired, the show was a mere 15 minutes long, but soon after it was expanded to 30 minutes due to the popularity. It was one of the first shows of its kind, besides a short-lived attempt at a horror called The Witch's Tale, which didn't last very long. Lights Out aired later in the evening, so when most stations were playing music, NBC decided grisly stories spotted with dark, tongue-in-cheek humor was a much better idea, and it turns out they were right. When the creepy tales went national, the decision was made to tone down the gore, and emphasis was put on creating tamer fantasies and ghost stories. Only one recording survives from Cooper's 2-year run. It's the series' annual Christmas show, and it's the 1937 version that is in circulation today. It takes place on the first Christmas after World War I, when 3 Allied officers meet by chance in a train compartment. They find one another vaguely familiar. They fall asleep and share a dream in which they are the 3 wise men searching for Jesus. The officers then awake in their train cabin. But is it really a dream?
Belfast, Valentine, Gascoigne.
Didst cry out until... I say, what's the matter?
I was dreaming, I guess.
What? Where are we?
It was a dream, but I saw you too.
You saw us?
It's hard to remember, but I...
Did you dream of 3 men, Melvin?
Yes.
I did too.
Gaspard?
And Melchior?
And Balthazar.
Gascoigne?
And Melvin?
And Valentine.
Good heavens. Look at our shoes. All of us.
What?
Straw. Where did...
Straw. From a stable. And that smell. What?
Gentlemen, I have been in the East. I know what that smell is. It is myrrh and frankincense.
Some of Cooper's less gruesome scripts were occasionally rebroadcast. One of the most famous ones first aired in March of 1935 as After 5 O'Clock. It was revived in 1945 as Man in the Middle, and looks at a man who's cheating on his wife at work with his secretary. The contrast between what the protagonist thinks to himself and what he says out loud to the other characters was so well done, it's been called one of the most realistic pieces of radio ever presented.
Well, that's all right. Only don't love me too much, baby. If Lucille finds it out, she'll tear your hair out. She's tough, Lucille is. The time she slapped that Flynn gal at the club.
Now, Johnny, stop. You've got to get those letters signed. Go ahead and sign them.
Oh, there's no rush about the letters, but there is a rush about them. They've got to get off in the airmail.
There is, too. They've got to go airmail to the coast tonight, and I've got to get them ready for Hal to take to the post office. Now, you start signing them while I fix. I brought in those letters, Johnny. The ones about the stamping machine.
Oh, thanks, honey. You've got too much lipstick on. I suppose I've got to kiss you.
Oh, don't, Johnny.
That's the old stuff. If I didn't kiss you, you'd probably get sore. You're all right, Patricia, but I wish you wouldn't. Oh, I don't know what I wish. I like to kiss you, but I don't like to have you expecting it all the time. Oh, come on. Give me just one little kiss, Pat. Come on.
Oh, Johnny, please.
Come on, sweetheart. Now I suppose I've got lipstick all over me. Patricia, you've got too much perfume on, and you know how I hate the stuff. And that green dress. I give you money to buy new clothes, and you wear that dreadful green thing all the time. Love me a little, Patsy?
Oh, I love you, Johnny. I do love you. You darling.
Cooper wrote about 120 scripts for Lights Out before he handed over the reins to another Chicago native.
My name, Arch Obler. Tonight, another in our series of tales of the weird and the unusual. And this one is really unusual. It's about that little god of chance, the one who flips a coin and makes us rich men or beggar men.
It seems, though, that Obler picked up exactly where Cooper left off, with a twist of his own. The program would always be closely associated with Obler, but he was always quick to credit Cooper as the series' creator. He also spoke highly of the old author, calling him the unsung pioneer of radio dramatic techniques. Obler also said he was the first person he knew who understood that radio drama could be an art form. It was June of 1936 when Obler's first script aired, and NBC was inundated with letters from outraged fans. Burial Service was about a paralyzed girl who was buried alive. For the time, it was so beyond what anyone wanted to hear. Things did change a bit. Obler took a very different spin for his next story. It was about a desperate husband of a woman who turns into a giant feline.
You've had a hard time of it. You'd better get to bed and get some rest. Oh, no, Doctor, listen to me. I've got to see her again. I've got to make sure that she's all right. I can't rest until I know. I tell you... Oh, very well. Just for a moment. Yes. Be very quiet. Yes. There. You see? She's resting very nicely. Doctor. Look. What? Her hands. Look at her hands. They're claws. And her teeth. Her teeth. Linda! No, John. You'll waken her. Linda! Listen to her. Steady, John. I can't stand it. I tell you, I can't stand it. She's Linda. She's my wife, my beautiful wife. Linda! Linda! Sorry, John. It's all right. I guess I'm going a little crazy myself. What's happening to her? What is it? I don't know, John. I don't know. Listen to her. You've got to do something, Doctor. You've got to. You're my friend. You've got to help me. What? In the name of all that's rational, what? Well, think. There must be something you could do. A drug, something, anything. Oh, John, I don't know what to say. I can't think.
Catwife turned out to be one of his most popular scripts and was frequently repeated. Obler was in such high demand to write for other shows, he adopted an unusual scripting procedure. He would lie in bed at night, smoke cigarettes, and improvise into a dictaphone. He would act out every line of a play, and by doing this, he was able to complete a script between 30 minutes and 4 hours. He would also take inspiration from the real world. Another popular script was loosely based on the life of serial killer H.H. Holmes.
Oh, now then, here we are. Got a nice room for you, very nice. Fact of the matter is, you can choose any room on this floor.
But, Mr. Stewart, your daughters...
Daughters?
Yes, won't they object? You said any room.
Oh, yes, my daughters. I did write to you about them, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Well, never mind about them. They're upstairs studying. Now, right here. I suggest that you take this room, at least for tonight.
Whatever you say, Mr. Stewart.
Get the light on. There we are. Nice, isn't it?
I've never had such a large room. If you've got one a little smaller...
On the contrary, my dear Miss Malone, you'll find this one small enough. Perhaps a little too small. Yes, indeed. Entirely too small.
But, Mr. Stewart... Locking the door. Mr. Stewart, why did you... Mr. Stewart, why did you lock the door? Mr. Stewart? Mr. Stewart, why have you shut me in here? Mr. Stewart, please answer me. Mr. Stewart, please let me out of here. Mr. Stewart, please let me out of here. It's getting dark in here. Please! Mr. Stewart, let me out!
Murder Castle told the story of a girl who went to work for the murderous owner of the residence. She was the only one who escaped his grasp, but it changed her. It drove her mad.
Revenge, 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 revenge,
Revenge, revenge, revenge. Yes, listen to her, Captain.
revenge,
Over and over again.
revenge.
Such a young and pretty girl.
Revenge, revenge.
What could have driven her out of her mind crazy like that?
Revenge, revenge.
What, I ask you?
Revenge, revenge.
Even today, some of the scripts for Lights Out are considered a little off the wall. Murder Castle was definitely one of them. Lights Out was brought to television in 1946 by NBC in a series of 4 specials, but didn't become a regular show until 1949. It was on TV from 1949 until 1952 and reused some of the old radio scripts. Lights Out was on the radio from 1934 to 1947 and made a significant mark on the radio world under both showrunners. Arch Obler retained the rights to the scripts, but NBC has the rights to the name and tried to revive the show in 1972 and in 1995. Both of the attempts to revive the show were unsuccessful, so Lights Out will always be known as a legend on the radio.